everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Northshore, whether you're joining us right here on our Kirkland campus or maybe online from somewhere else.
Anywhere else.
We are super excited that you're here. My name's Stephen Bolt.
And I'm Cody Pepper.
And if this is your first time joining us, we say this each week, but we are so excited that you're here. Everything that we do here is with you in mind. And so we're just really excited that you would choose to spend some time with us today. And here's the deal. We would love to get to meet you, get to know you a little bit more about your story. There's a couple ways to do that, but the easiest way, if you're on our campus, in the seat back in front of you, you'll see a little connection card. You can pull that out. Yeah, thank you for the demonstration.
Yeah, just grab that.
Just grab that. You can fill that out. Check I'm new. We've got a guest services table out in the lobby that would love to connect with you. Or if you're online, you can pull out your phone and scan this little handy QR code, and it'll take you to a connection card as well. And we love to connect with you that way. Again, we're super excited that you're here with us.
Yeah, and if you are joining us online as well, make sure to comment in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Just say hi to each other. It's better when we're in it together, so don't just hover around. Say hi. Make a friend.
Hover around online.
Yeah.
I love it. Big things happening right now. Tonight is an event we've been prepping for a long time, and I'm really excited about. It is called Team Night.
Team Night.
I feel like there needs to be some I think like a Team Night.
Confetti.
We probably, that's a move. It's probably happening as we speak. We don't even know it. Team Night. Sorry, we're just talking about how cool the name is. But it's a really exciting thing, whether you are actually serving on a team right now, or you're like, I wonder what it looks like to serve on a team. I've been going to Northshore for a while. This is the event for you, and it's tonight, August 29th. It's going to be an incredible time. Cody will tell you a little bit more about what's going on, but whether you're on a team or you're just attending Northshore and are interested in what that looks like, or what even the teams we have available, you're not going to want to miss tonight.
Yeah, I mean, because we know that if you get plugged in here, if you're serving, it can make a large community feel a little bit smaller. You can get to know some people, get plugged in, and jump in and serve as well. But here's the thing. There's questions around Team Night.
Lots of questions.
It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some exciting stuff going on, but you may be thinking, Cody, Steven, like when it's that time, I'm usually hungry. And man, do we have food coming your way at Team Night. So if you show up, you want to just make sure to come hungry, right? Yes. Don't eat before, come hungry. And we've got some food. Another question might be, what about my kids?
What do I do?
Well, let me tell you, Steven, when you bring your family, we've got a lot of awesome stuff that we have for kids that I believe it's 12 and under.
Yeah.
And we have all kinds of things, from a lot of fun games and activities to a petting zoo is going to be here. So that's exciting. I want to be there.
If you're like, listen, I don't come out of the house unless there's a petting zoo there.
This is the place for you. Team Night tonight.
Yeah.
And I love that you don't even have to wait. It's not in a week, or it's literally tonight. So be here.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great.
The only other thing you need to know is you just need to RSVP ahead of time. So you can head over to northshore.church/team night. Let us know you're coming so we can plan for food. And like if we need to have more animals there, like if the petting zoo is just overwhelmed, we would want to know that ahead of time. So jump over there, RSVP. Again, it's tonight from 5 to 6:30. We'd love to have you be a part of that. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a blast. Normally, this is the time in our little pre-service show we'd be like, man, last week's message was so good, and we want to take you back and show you a clip. However,
it's a little bit different.
A little bit different because we were all out at something that we call Community Serve Day last week, which if you participated in that, just thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I was at Fernwood Elementary School last week, and it was amazing.
We were over like 30 different schools, over 2,800 people serving. Like Northshore, what a cool thing that we get to be part of.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit more about it during service, and actually a little bit more a couple weeks from now. But we just want to say thank you for participating in Community Serve Day. I did miss gathering on Sundays though.
Right.
I missed it. I was like, I love being out serving, but there's something special about Sunday mornings coming together.
Right.
So excited to be back. But this week we're back. Yep. We are back online in campus, and we're kicking off a brand new series, which is called Together for the Next Generation, which coincidentally is also part of our mission here, to be church together for neighbors, next generation, those in need.
Right.
So just double plug there. And we're kicking it off this week. So Cody, I thought, because you are so involved in the next gen.
Right. Hang out with middle school and high school every week.
Yeah. All day long. That we would play a little game around the next generation called Talking About My Generation. I feel like I'm going to get sued for saying that. Talking about my I won't sing it because that's what they pick up on.
That's all right. Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to play a little game, so let's jump in together. All righty. So, Cody, as I said, we're playing a little game here. And what the game is I'm going to be asking you some generational questions. Because here's the thing. When we start a series called Together for the Next Generation, my mind goes to, well, wait a second. At some point, everyone was the next generation.
Smart, yeah.
Ooh,
it's
big
true.
Brain right there. It's true. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a trip down history lane all the way back to the 60s.
Wow.
And I'm going to ask you some questions and then say, did this come from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, or 2010? What decade did this thing happen in? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you get all of them right, every single one of them, I think there's like 6 questions.
Perfect.
If you get all of them right, everyone in row 5 right now is going to get a $5 Starbucks gift card. Whoa, what? Yes. $5 Starbucks gift card delivered by you personally. Perfect. So it's pretty impressive. So good luck here. I'm actually, these are possible. We did this a couple weeks ago.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. First question. Are you nervous?
No, I'm doing it for row 5. I'm ready.
For row 5. First question. Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech, Washington, D.C. in this decade.
Okay.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010?
60s.
Dude, good job, man. Wow. I did not expect you to get that. I'm really proud.
I don't know if I'm offended or... Okay, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Next.
The search engine Ask Jeeves was created during this decade. First of all, did anyone actually use Ask Jeeves? Yeah. Okay. We got a couple in here.
Okay. So
did you use Ask Jeeves?
I feel like I did, but I was little. And we have to have... Here's my deduction, right? We have to have some internet capabilities.
Yep.
So I'm cranking it out. I was born in the 90s.
Okay.
So we're already up. I have to say 2000s.
Oh, man. Row 5. So sorry, guys. Maybe we'll get them next week. It was the 90s. It was the 90s. Ask Jeeves was an early adopter. So
sorry, row 5.
All right. We just talked about this. Believe it or not, Washington has active volcanoes. Just in. Fresh news.
I don't know. It's the 2000 teens, right?
Yes, 2000 teens. There you go. 2014. Still fresh. Still painful. I'm sorry, row 5. No Starbucks gift cards this time.
I did my best.
You did your best.
What can you do?
But again, we're so excited to start a series together for the next generation. Yeah, you were about to sing something.
I was about to sing. It's okay. Keep going.
Okay.
Sorry. I get excited about it, okay?
But we are super excited to kick off this series. And again, we're so glad that you're here with us today. If you're just joining us or you just tuned in, again, my name is Stephen Bolt.
And I'm Cody Pepper.
And we're just about to jump into services this week. Again, we're glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy your time here at Northshore.
Well, hey, welcome to Northshore, everyone. It's so good to see you. If you're in this room, joining us online, welcome. We're going to worship Jesus today, so let's stand together and get started. Here we go. Oh, don't lose heart, oh my soul, oh my soul. Don't give up, there is hope, there is always hope. as we're singing. Let's sing that again. Nations bow, mountains shake at the sound. Just one name over all. Jesus reigns. I know, yeah. There is a King of glory. There is a God who saves. One who is strong and mighty. Freedom is in his name. Open the gates of heaven. Lift up a shout of praise. There is a lion roaring. Jesus, the King of glory. Oh, there is a lion roaring. Jesus, the King of glory. Amen. That was a cute clap. That was more of a golf clap. Let's do like, Jesus is the King of glory. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Man, it's so good to be together today, whether you've been to church 1,000 times or this is your first time. I just want to welcome you. My name is Brandon. I'm one of the pastors on staff here. So if you're in this room or joining us online, welcome. You are in the right spot. And these songs that we're singing, these are powerful songs. These songs remind us just how big God is and how much God loves us. And I don't know what you're carrying with you into this room today. I don't know what's on your mind. But I'm just there's a couple verses that kind of came to me this week that I wanted to share with you. One of them, it says that we can cast our anxieties onto God because he cares for us. So if you're feeling any anxiety today about anything in your life, you can just toss those over to Jesus and ask his help with that because he cares about you. He sees you. He knows exactly what you're going through. Another one that comes to my mind is that his perfect love casts out all fear. So if you're feeling afraid in this moment, that you can ask his love, and his love is so powerful that when his love is here, that our fear has to scatter. That is how big God is. But it requires us to be open to him. You know what I'm saying? We have to open up our hearts and our minds and say, God, whatever you want to do today, all I know is I have my fear, my anxiety, or my worry. You got to give that to him. You got to ask him to give you his love in return. And that's a daily thing that he invites us into. And so this next song helps us do that, helps us stand in that faith. And I just want to remind you that this is not just something that we check off the list. We go to church, we do the next thing, we do the next thing. This is a significant moment when people get together and sing these songs and open up God's word and pray. We have baptisms later. That's going to be awesome. When people do these kind of things, God shows up and moves in powerful ways. So let's be open to him and let's sing our hearts out together. Again, we're not just here to be polite and sit and stand and sing and do what, get into it. Your soul needs to worship today. You may not know that, but God created your soul to worship him. So let's not hold back together. Can we do that today? Can we do that together? All right, let's keep going.
Yes. Let's sing. I feel it in my bones, you're about to move. I feel it in the wind, you're about to ride it. Yes. You said that you would pour your spirit out. You said that you would fall on sons and daughters. So come. So come. Welcome him in. Be with us, Jesus. We feel you, Lord, here. We feel your presence. Amen.
That was powerful. Wasn't that awesome? Yeah, well, y'all can have a seat. Hey, thank you for joining us here at Northshore. My name is David, and I am here to help. We're so excited that you are here with us for service. Whether you have been here for a long time or maybe this is your first time here at Northshore, we just want to extend a special welcome to each of you. And that goes for those of you that are watching online as well. We're so glad and thankful that you are a part of our morning here today. Hey, in fact, one of the things that you can do right now actually is we love to know that you were here, whether this is your first time or your 100th time here. We love to know that you were here. And so in fact, if you wouldn't mind just reaching out and grabbing a connection card right there in front of you or on your seats, or you can scan the QR code, and we just love to know that you were here. But that's just one way for you to know just what sort of ministries are there. We can be praying for you. Maybe you want to join a team. You can indicate that on the card. And now, unless you have like a superpower of being able to write with your eyes, which I don't, you might actually want to grab that card and start writing it down, and then you can drop it off in the bucket. So go ahead and do that right now, please. Also, I mentioned teams, joining a team. Some of you already know, and some people were asking about team night. Team night is actually happening tonight right here on our campus at 5 o'clock. Whether you're on the team or even if you are not on the team, we have an exciting night planned for you. Great things, a lot of fun things for kids as well, like a petting zoo here at 5 o'clock. So hope you can join us for that. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in like 2 weeks. And that's because many of you were out in our community serving our schools for Community Serve Day last weekend. I want to just say thank you for that. We had thousands of people all across the school districts, like in our schools, just doing some amazing things, getting the schools ready to send the kids back to school. So I want to just thank you for being a part of that mission. Yeah, give yourselves a hand for that. You know, one of the things that we mention often here is that we are together for. And last week you demonstrated that we are truly together for our neighbors. And thank you for doing that. You guys are such a tremendous community. Also want to say thank you for your contributions, your gifts, your generosity, and just believing in our mission. One of the ways that we made Community Serve Day happen was because you're choosing to be generous and you are choosing to be awesome. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving and just contributing to all that we are doing. That's just a small portion of what we are able to do with your generosity. Hey, I want to share with something that's coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we have a thing called Kickoff Sunday. We're kicking off the Seahawks season in a really fun and exciting way. You're not going to want to miss what's coming down the pipeline in 2 weeks right here. A lot of great things. And so just put that on your calendar. In fact, I thought it'd be better actually to let one of our friends let you know what Kickoff Sunday is all about. So take a look at the screen.
Hey, yo, what's up? It's Marcus Trufant here, former Seattle Seahawk and Washington State Cougs, baby. We got a big event coming up, man. I want to invite everybody out to Kickoff Sunday at Northshore Community Church, 9 a.m. to 10:30. They come and tailgate right after service. It's going to be a good time. Plus, there's going to be free food. There's going to be games, activities for kids, and a chance to win some Seahawks tickets. Y'all like that? Seahawks! And you know how we do it. So don't miss Kickoff Sunday, September 12th. Like I said, right after service, it's going to be a good time. So y'all come hang out, man. Let's do it.
So great. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Northshore. Both those of you who are in this room and those of you who are joining us online. So glad you're here. And thank you, Marcus, for that inspiring invitation. Isn't that cool? Yeah. I kind of feel like he's kind of gunning for my job. So I was a little insecure about that. But anyway, as he said, 2 weekends from now is Kickoff Sunday. It's the Sunday after Labor Day. And after the service, it's going to be an amazing, amazing day. And because it's also kickoff weekend for the Seahawks, after the service, we're going to have a tailgate thing going on outside. The game will be shown on like a massive screen, the biggest screen we've ever had on campus. Stuff going on for kids. And yes, Seahawks tickets will be given away, but you got to be there. So mark your calendars, come out. And just to kind of a cool experiment for inviting some friends and guests, If you're on a mailing list, you're gonna get a couple of these. I know you can't see this from where you're sitting. A couple of these VIP cards in the mail that you can use to invite a friend or a neighbor or a colleague to church on kickoff Sunday. In fact, there's a little QR code that they can scan so they can register ahead of time. So when they come on campus, they actually get VIP treatment. So like a reserved parking space, amen, right? They actually pre-check-in for kids, a welcome gift. It's like Northshore hospitality at its finest. And by the way, if you go to church here, if this is your church home, you cannot use this to get a free parking space up front, okay? Don't start off the new year by like lying to your church, all right? So let's not do that, but use these to make an invitation, start a conversation. It's gonna be such a fun weekend and inspiring for everybody. So I hope you use that. And then one more thing before we jump into the message. A quick reminder, I've said this a couple of times. As you know, our current fiscal year ends this Tuesday at midnight. If you want to know where we stand financially in our operating budget, you can go to northshore.church/give. We do have a little ways to go, but the main thing I want to say on that is simply thank you. Thank you for being so generous through this really unprecedented year in so many ways, so challenging, and you showed up to be faithful and generous time after time after time. The reason we could do community survey after a year like we've had is because you gave so faithfully. So thank you. And by the way, at Northshore, we don't just give just to solve problems. We give as a reminder that God is still in control. Even though it feels like you look at our world, you're not sure who's really managing this whole thing, God is in control, and that's why we want to be generous with our resources to provide even more kingdom momentum in the world around us. And I know, you can just turn on the news and feel so discouraged. I mean, I know like many of you, I've been following what's happening in Afghanistan. It is just heart-wrenching. It's heartbreaking, both for the Afghan people and for the men and women in uniform, both who are serving now and who've served in the past. And the loss of life, it's just devastating for those families. And so we want to do something here at Northshore around that. So starting this coming week, we're actually going to partner with World Relief right here in Seattle to support Afghan refugees coming to the Puget Sound, because they will be coming. We're still working on the details about how that's going to go, but I just wanted to give you a preview, let you know so you can be praying about that. And just watch your email, watch social media. We'll be sending out an update on how you can be involved in that part of this movement we want to start. So just be watching for that, because we want to remind the world that God is still in control. And that's what that's all about. So just to jump into the message today, I want to start with a little exercise. So when you came in this room, if you're in this room, you sat down, there was a card on your chair, looks something like this. Everybody grab this card right now. Grab the card. And grab a pen from the chair in front of you. You're gonna need that as well. If you're watching online, you can just take a piece of paper and just write down this phrase on the card. I wouldn't be here without blank. I wouldn't be here without blank. Everyone got your card, got your pen? So right now, I just want you to write down the name of a person in your life who's helped you become the person you are today. So just write down on just one side, the person who's helped you become who you are today, not necessarily your parents, but someone who has supported you or coached you or mentored you or invested in you, just a name. Everybody writing? I'm seeing a lot of pens going. Just write down a name. Everybody have one written down? So on my card, I wrote down the name Scott. Not me, it's actually a different Scott. I'm just writing my own name. This Scott and I have known each other for almost 25 years. We met when I was a sophomore in college. And at the time when we met, my life was pretty messy. I was living 2,000 miles from friends and family and felt far from God, felt pretty lost in life. By the way, anyone else ever felt far from God or kind of lost in your life? Like you just needed someone to come alongside of you in those moments? Well, Scott came alongside me. He was a PhD student at the time. He was volunteering in the college ministry that I was attending. And one day he walked up to me, didn't know me at all, and walked up and said, "Hey, would you like to get lunch?" I said, "Sure, I'd love that." And we went out to lunch. And I don't remember saying anything that impressive. My life certainly wasn't that impressive at the time. So I was kind of surprised when he asked me to go out to lunch again. And before long, we were meeting every week, once a week, every week. I actually got a picture of just outside the student union where we used to meet in these white tables with these uncomfortable red chairs. I can't tell you how many hours I spent in these chairs talking to Scott. And he didn't just ask me about my problems or my struggles. He shared about his own, about going through a divorce and then getting remarried. We talked about faith and doubt and loss and disappointment. And he always listened to me, even when I wasn't making any sense or even when I wasn't making the best decisions. And I just have to say, I can't tell you how much those conversations meant to me. A few years later, Scott actually became the pastor of the college ministry that I was part of. And when I graduated, he asked me to come on staff at the church and be an intern. And I told him, I love you, but I will never work in a church. And by the way, never say never to God. He has a funny sense of humor about that because a year later, I actually went on staff at that church to work for Scott, and I've been on staff at a church ever since. So don't say never to God because you just never know what's going to happen. But Scott saw potential in me that I couldn't see. And then he gave me these opportunities to lead and to speak. And that experience inspired me to go to seminary, so I enrolled in the school up in Vancouver, British Columbia. And get this, a few months after that, Scott moved with his family to Bellevue, Washington to be a pastor at a church there. So about once a month, I would drive across the border to spend time with him and his kids. He even asked me to be the godfather of his son. How cool is that? A few years later, I moved back to California to become a pastor. And every so often, I would fly up here to see Scott, or Scott would fly down to see me. In fact, I remember one time Scott was in town and he called me up to meet up. And I just said, like, I'm too busy. I don't have time. But in truth, I was at home. I was feeling discouraged, depressed, didn't want to leave the house. So I just kind of lied to him. And then a few hours later, there was a knock at my door. Any guesses on who it was? It was Scott. Because here's the thing. He's just always been there for me. He's always been there for me. Fast forward a few years after I met Nina, Scott was one of the first people I called. And a little over a year later, Scott stood with the two of us to officiate our wedding. There, I have a lot less gray hair. You see right there? And then afterwards, he gave me the biggest hug. There is so much history in that hug. But the story's not over yet, because fast forward a few more years, God called our family up here to this church in Kirkland, Washington. So now Scott's kids, who I grew up playing with, or who grew up playing with me, get to play with my kids. And Scott and I once again get together every Thursday afternoon. I won't tell you where because I don't want you people showing up, but we get together every Thursday afternoon. You see, I wouldn't be here without Scott. I wouldn't be who I am without his role, his influence, his leadership, his investment in my life. So why am I telling you all this? Because this is how the kingdom of God works. This is how faith in Jesus is passed on. It's not primarily through books or sermons or events. It's passed on through people, life on life, one generation to the next. The last church where I served, we used this image of 3 chairs. I thought it could be helpful for you to see and kind of walk through today. So this middle chair, this chair represents you right now. This is the chair you're literally sitting in right now. It's why sometimes you come to church, you get a little grumpy because someone's sitting in your chair, right? This represents your life today, your relationships, your career, the faith you hold to. This represents who you are. But here's the thing, no one gets to this chair on their own. Somebody brought you here. Somebody invited you here. Someone helped you find your way to be the person you are. It's like the person you are today. Which leads us to this chair. This chair represents that name on your card, the person who came before you, the person who invested in you, who believed in you, who supported you. Maybe back when you were a skeptic of this whole faith thing. Or maybe when you were going through a really hard time in your life and they picked you up or held you or just walked with you through it. Or maybe you got brought here before you can even remember. I got brought to church before I was just a little baby. I can't even remember those days. Somebody brought me here. That's what this represents. And you can imagine beyond this chair, there's another chair and another chair and another chair going all the way back to Jesus, whose story has been passed down for 2,000 years, one chair at a time, which brings us to this chair. Any guesses on what this represents? The people who will come after you. The people who will be sitting in your chair 100 years from now when you're dead and gone and I'm 145 years old, right? The next generation. But here's the thing about this chair. People don't accidentally find their way into this chair. Someone has to find them. Someone has to care about them. Someone has to chase after them. Someone has to believe in them. And here's the other thing about this chair. It's easy to lose sight of this chair. You see, when you're in this phase of life, kind of the older phase of life, you can start to believe, I've paid my dues, I've served my time, I've got a sunset to look forward to over here. And when you're in this middle stage of life, you've got a life to build. You have demands. There's so much pressure, so much going on. There's so much to focus on in this chair. And it's easy to wonder, well, who's going to be here? And besides, young people, kind of messy, not always respectful. They don't always believe what you believe or care about what you care about. And so what happens is we kind of become two-chair kind of people. Two-chair kind of people where it's so easy to get kind of, stuck in the past or focused on the present, and we lose sight of who needs to be sitting here. And here's the thing. This happens in churches too. Churches that have a great legacy, a great past, that were once full and flourishing, but over time, they begin to decline. They begin to decline. You drive by churches like this all the time. Churches that were once busy and bustling, churches that were once full of people, crowded, but are now just almost a shell of what they once were. Empty on Sundays. It's kind of interesting. In most cases, if you think about why this happens, it's actually not because they stopped teaching the Bible effectively. That's kind of a myth around this. That's possible. That's not the primary reason. The primary reason is because they stopped reaching the next generation effectively. Maybe the church struggled to keep up with the rate of change in our world. The world changes so fast. Maybe they had legacy programs and traditions that once were blessing so many people, but they struggled to adapt and move forward as the world was changing. Maybe they struggled to equip and empower and let go of leadership and entrust the next generation with leadership. Whatever the reason, the congregation got older and smaller, and the building got emptier and emptier. Because here's the thing, people don't accidentally find their way into this chair. Someone has to tell them. Someone has to tell them. I love how the writer of Psalm 78 kind of describes or paints a picture of this. He writes, I will open my mouth with a parable. I will utter hidden things, things from old, things we have heard and known, things our ancestors, that's that far chair, have told us. They were faithful. But here's the thing, we will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, his power, and the wonders he has done. And friends, just so you know, this isn't like a new idea or a random idea in the Bible. This shows up over and over and over. The very first command in the Bible, God says, be fruitful and multiply. In other words, Adam and Eve is not just about you, it's about the next generation. When God comes and makes a covenant with Abraham, that promise is not just for Abraham, it's for his descendants. In other words, Abraham, not just about you, it's for the next generation. When God gives Israel the law, he doesn't just say, follow these commands. He says, impress them on your children. Deuteronomy 6:7. In other words, Israel, these commands, this way of life, it's not just about you, it's for the next generation. And this commandment wasn't given just to parents with children for raising children. It was given to 20-somethings and single adults and empty nesters and married couples without kids. Because biblically speaking, the goal of each generation is the faith of the next generation. That's how the kingdom of God works. The goal of each generation isn't to make a name for itself. It's to pass the torch, hand off the baton to the next generation. And by the way, this is what I love about our church. This is what brought our family to Northshore. It's because this is a 3-chair church. After 52 years, we have this beautiful legacy of being a Jesus-centered church where the lost get found and the lonely find community and the hurting find healing. It's a place where marriages get saved and relationships get restored and divisions get mended. This is a place where it's led by the Spirit and empowered by prayer and guided by Scripture. Friends, I didn't start that. And you didn't start that. This legacy was handed down by people who said, we're going to pass the baton. We're going to tell the next generation the wonders of what God has done. And just to call it out, some of you have been here 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, and I just want to publicly honor you because you have faithfully passed the torch and equipped the next generation and inspired new leaders to lead when it could have been you. And now, it's our turn. And so for the next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about how we can be and remain a 3-chair church. Next week, we're going to talk really practically about our strategy and philosophy for reaching kids and students. You're going to meet some of our next generation staff. You're going to see a lot of them today, actually, in those referee jerseys outside. So make sure you go through the lobby and see what they're going to tell you about out there. But today, I want to talk to you about how it's possible to become a kind of 2-chair person. Or how churches get kind of caught up and get sucked into a 2-chair approach to church life. And it goes back to 3 simple reasons. Actually, better yet, there are 3 simple excuses that we make to kind of opt out of this call to reach and equip and love the next generation. So 3 excuses, real simple. First one is this. People will say, I'm too old. Whatever your age may be, you can get this kind of habit of saying, I'm too old for that. Getting older, it's kind of a funny thing. It's both inevitable and it's really hard to accept, right? This just past week, I was reading a little kid's book with Jude and it had these cartoon kind of drawings of biblical characters. And just for fun, I said, hey, which one looks like mommy? And he pointed to Eve, who had like long, dark hair, beautiful woman. I'm like, yeah, that's neat. That's perfect. And then I said, hey, which one looks like daddy? And he pointed to Noah, who had like long white hair and looked 100 years old, which wasn't very cool of my 1.5-year-old son. But it's kind of like that saying, inside the body of every old person is a young person wondering, what happened? What's happened to me? But here's the deal. The Bible speaks about the goodness of getting older. It's actually a good thing. Leviticus 19:12 says this, rise in the presence of the aged, show respect for the elderly, and revere your God. I kind of shared the idea with our staff that maybe we should do this here at Northshore. And they started standing up when I walked in the room. So we canceled that really quickly. We're not doing that. Here's another interesting verse about aging. It's about the cost of special offerings at the temple. Leviticus writer says, if anyone makes a special vow to dedicate a person to the Lord by giving the equivalent value, set the value of a male between the ages of 20 and 60 at 50 shekels. But for a person 60 years old or more, set the value at 15 shekels. Friends, it's like a senior discount. Like right there in the Bible, the sort of cheaper version at the offering, right? Or how about Proverbs 16:31. Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness. See, this is not me getting older. This is me becoming righteous, okay? That's how that's working. But here's the thing about age, and the Bible's really clear about this as well. It's not just something to be honored. Age is something to be leveraged. Because it means you have experiences to share. It means you've gained wisdom that needs to be passed along. It means you have encouragement and a belief that could bless somebody so much if you gave it. But to do so, it takes effort, it's initiative. It takes staying in the game, if you will. One of my favorite pictures of this in the Bible is a man named Caleb. Some of you know his story. He's one of the 12 spies that Moses sent into the promised land, and one of only 2 that came back believing they could take the land. But because Israel didn't believe, they didn't have faith, they all had to wait for over 40 years before crossing the river. So when it came time for God's people to go into the promised land, Caleb was 85 years old. He waited 45 years to enter the land. But he never complained. He didn't get cynical. He didn't get nostalgic about the good old days. In fact, look at what he says to Joshua. He says, so here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out into battle now as I was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me in that day. And by the way, the hill country was the hard country. That was the hard land to take. But even at 85 years old, Caleb was like, hey, don't exile me off into sort of the seniors club or that kind of thing. Just give me one more hill. Just give me one more challenge. Just give me one more chance. Why? Well, so his descendants could have an inheritance. See, Caleb wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about the next generation. Just give me one more hill. Just give me one more hill. In our context, that might be like saying, just give me a life group to lead with kids or students. Or just give me a young adult I can mentor and pass on some of the lessons I've learned. Or just give me a younger couple to counsel about marriage and family and how to raise a family. Because here's the thing, whether you're 85 or 55 or 25, you are never too old to invest in the next generation. You're never too far out. You're never out of date. You're never too old. Which brings me to a second excuse that gets shared a lot in churches. You'll all relate to this one. I'm too busy. I'm just too busy. And I can tell you, I know enough. I don't know all your stories, but I know enough about you and life and the demands in your life. You're probably all already too busy. You came to church today with a full calendar. The question is it full of the right things? Is it full of the things that are going to give you real life? Is it full of things that are about investing in the next generation? Because here's the thing, there is a big difference between having a busy schedule and having a full life. A busy schedule means you never feel like you have enough time, or you're always bouncing between kind of one event to the next, or you have a lot to do on your to-do list. That's a busy schedule. Having a full life means you're investing in something that counts. You're passing along wisdom to the next generation. Your life is about more than just you. And it happens when you make room to teach or coach or lead or mentor. And by the way, parents in the room, I'm not just talking about being a parent to your kids. I mean, I'm in that phase of life. I get it. We have 2 little ones at home, and parenting them takes up a significant amount of time. But that's not enough. You know why? Because our kids' faith development depends on more than just me and Nina. And research actually bears this out. It shows it's true. In fact, do you know what the primary difference is between kids who keep their faith as adults and kids who lose their faith later? You know what the primary difference is? Research shows it's not based on the kind of church you grew up in or the denomination you're affiliated with or how cool the youth pastor was. The research says the primary difference between kids who keep their faith and kids who may lose their faith is the presence of other Christ-following adults in their life. Think about that. You can throw all the programs and all the money and all the stuff and still lose the next generation if there aren't people who are investing in them. In fact, there's a book called Sticky Faith. It's a great book that describes this research, and they actually recommend the ratio should be 5-1. Not 5 kids to every 1 adult, 5 adults investing in the life of every kid. Which means parents, you know this about raising kids, you can't do it on your own. It's like the old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes young adults and empty nesters and high school students and other people investing in younger people. And the Apostle Paul, he describes this same truth in a little bit from a different perspective. He describes it in that second letter to his apprentice Timothy when he says, "But as for you, Timothy, continue in what you have learned and have become convinced of." Why? Because you know those from whom you have learned it. In other words, Timothy was convinced about Jesus not just because of what he had learned, but because he knew the people from whom he was learning it. Timothy knew Paul. Timothy knew Silas. Timothy knew Mark. He knew Luke. He knew Aquila. He knew Priscilla. His faith grew strong because he had a web of relationships with people around him, which means we all have to make time and space for the next generation. Even if you're busy, even if you have to give up something that you love doing. But here's the thing, I promise you, you will find more joy, more meaning, more significance in investing in the next generation than your work or your career or your calendar or your hobby can give you. I promise you. Just ask some of the volunteers who serve downstairs or down the hallway in Northshore Kids. We'll have to watch this message later this week because they're serving all morning, but they wouldn't trade it. Or ask some of the life group leaders who are here every Wednesday night with our students. They give up every Wednesday night, week after week, but they wouldn't trade it. Because they realize, wow, I'm being filled up with a full life, not just by adding stuff to my calendar that the world says I should be doing, but investing in the next generation. Which brings me to one final excuse, and it's one that people rarely say out loud, but I think it can exist in our hearts. I'm not really interested. Nice message. Good job, Scotty. But at the end of the day, I'm just not that interested. I've paid my dues. I've given my time. I've outgrown all that stuff. Or in a church of this size, sometimes we'll think things like, I'll let the professionals do it. But there's a cost. There's a real cost to thinking this way. If people of faith don't take the next generation seriously, the next generation won't take faith seriously. They won't. They won't. See, all over the country, churches around the country, this chair is becoming more and more empty. Did you know that? Statistics are bearing this out. This chair is becoming more and more empty. Young people are leaving the church or not knowing about the church. They're leaving their faith or they don't know about faith. And it's happening more and more and more and more. And here's the thing, this chair being empty, it's not the culture's fault. It's the church's fault. And I'm not saying the culture's great, the culture's a mess, but here's the thing, the culture's always been a mess. I mean, there's always been narratives that compete with the story of Jesus. There's always going to be worldly temptations that can pull a young person's heart away from God. But that's not why that chair is empty. We are losing young people because the culture is more interested in shaping the hearts and minds of young people than we are. So if we want to see young people come to faith, if we want to see the next generation stand up for God's truth, His grace, His compassion, His justice, we have to take the next generation seriously. We don't just need to move from non-interested to interested. We have to move from interested to whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Whatever the music style, whatever the teaching style, whatever the learning style, whatever the hairstyle, like we're all in on making this happen. And the good news is anybody can do this. You don't have to be cool or hip or wear the right shoes. Young people don't need cool, they need care. And they don't need experts, they need your experience. They don't need lectures, they need love. And if you feel concerned about where the world is going, if you're not satisfied with how our culture or society is going, the answer isn't rushing out and trying to get people to vote a different way. It's going upstream and solving problems by investing in the generations that are to come. I mean, just think about the difference that can make if that was our approach to solving the problems in our world. I mean, just imagine if every kid in our broader community knew that they were loved. Every kid knew. Just imagine if no kid in our broader community experienced hunger or homelessness. Imagine if depression rates in teens went down to 0 and graduation rates went up to 100%. Imagine if in 10 or 20 years, all around the country, their churches are being faithfully led by people who grew up right here at Northshore, because it's possible. This vision, this reality, it's possible, but only if together we make a commitment to tell the next generation the wonders of what God has done. And the best part is, I'm saving the best for last, folks. The best part is you get blessed. You get blessed even more. You get to see God move in ways that will inspire you, motivate you, fill you with joy. In fact, if all you want in life is joy, if all you crave is significance and purpose, don't make your life about you. That won't work out. Make it about investing in the next generation. That will work out. A few weeks ago, we asked one of the leaders here at Northshore who serves in our student ministry to sit down and talk with us about his experience serving the next generation. Tell us some stories. But what he didn't know is that we actually talked to some of the students he was leading to get their perspective on him as well. So take a look at this.
My name's Tim, and I've been serving at Midweek for going into 3 years now. Before I came to Northshore, I always served in like the elementary level, and it never kind of evolved into, middle school or high school. And so then it was kind of like I was challenged or, okay, our kids are heading into middle school now. If you want to be connected and you want to keep them connected to the church and grow their faith, you got to be involved in that. At the time, my initial thought was it'd be good for growing my family's faith and growing that, only to see it grow me and evolve my belief and my connection with the kids and the relationship that is established there. We just got back from summer camp, went to camp with some nerves, knowing that I was going to have a new mixed group as opposed to my normal 8th grade boys that I've been serving with. And actually just recently it kind of dawned on me or connected that whether I'm leading the 8th grade boys specifically or I'm present, I'm still going to be connected with them. because even like at camp, I didn't have all my 8th grade boys that were at camp, and they were still like checking in or come hang out or ask a question or come tease me or whatever. So it was like, okay, yeah, we've created this bond, and it's not just because I sit with you on Wednesday and go through the lesson.
We were at camp this last week. We got a group of some of your guys and asked them to talk a little bit about just like you and what you mean to them.
No, stop. Like, no.
It's been fun because he's always upbeat and enthusiastic and encouraging. He's very funny, nice. He gives out candy every day. Yeah.
I like Tim. I think it's been pretty easy to get along with him because he's always, being funny and being participational.
He likes to tease people, but we get to tease him back. He also really understands deep stuff and he's really approachable.
What has it been like as you've been at your first summer camp?
Awesome. I'm definitely coming again next year.
If you could choose, do you think you'd pick Tim again?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Just because he's awesome in general.
Every single time in life groups, he dives in deeper in every sermon, and I've learned countless things from him.
He has cheered me on and my journey with God, and I'm getting baptized next week, and he's helped me with that. It's just really encouraging and helpful because I know someone has my back and I can depend on him.
Tim, you've been a great inspiration and just getting me through camp while having fun and getting closer to God.
Thank you for being my leader.
I just want to let him know that I think he's awesome. Yeah, and I'm always looking up to him.
Tim, thank you so much for everything. You're a great leader, a great person. Thank you for making camp fun.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that. It's not what I do. It's not why I serve. But this is what happens when you connect with kids and help them with their faith. So, wow.
This is what happens when you connect with kids and help them with their faith. This is what happens when you say, I'm not going to settle for a 2-chair kind of life. I want a 3-chair life, a life that matters beyond my own life. One of those kids from that video is going to get baptized this morning, and that's not just because of God or his parents, it's because of Tim. And now Tim gets to experience this joy, this meaning of being part of someone else's eternity. And those boys will be able to look back someday and say, I am who I am because of Tim. On a card like this. So here's what we're gonna do. One last part of this exercise. Go grab the card that you wrote on, find your card. I know you probably buried it away. Pull it back out. We're not done with it yet. Get it back out. Everybody got your card? There was 2 sides. Turn it over to the blank side again. I wouldn't be here without blank. Get out your pen. Stay with me. I want you all to do this exercise. Pull out that pen. And on that other side now, I want you to write your name in the blank. Here's mine. I wouldn't be here without Scotty. So everybody write your name in the blank right now. Get out that pen. Write down your name. You can do this online as well. I wouldn't be here without it. Write your name. And right now, just as you look at that, I just want you to stare at that card for a moment. Just stare at your name on that card. Just look at it. Now here's my question. Who's going to say this about you? 20 years from now, who's going to write down this card in a service like this about your investment in them, your belief in them, your sacrifices for them? And if you're not sure, there's another card you can fill out, and it's this one. It's the Connect card, where you can say, I want to be part of a team. In fact, our entire Next Gen team is going to be out in the lobby throwing flags and acting like referees and having fun. But there's banners on the wall with opportunities for you to step up and say, I don't want to go through life and have my name not show up on this card. I want to make a difference. And to remind you why this matters, after I pray, we're going to baptize some of the next generation right here at Northshore. And if you're a guest with us, here's the thing about baptism. It's a public declaration of a personal commitment to Jesus. And it's not less important when it's a younger person. It's more important. In fact, it's the most important thing, because it means God is still filling up these chairs. It means there's still hope for our future. And all the news feeds and all the media that would say the world's going to hell and you should give up or protect yourself, it's a lie, because God is at work and the next generation is coming and you can be part of it. Because that's how the kingdom of God moves through the world, one life at a time, one chair to the next. And now, get this, the best part is, it's your turn. It's your turn. So let's make it happen. Let me pray. Jesus, I'm so grateful. That 25 years ago, someone walked up to me and said, hey, do you want to have lunch? Because my life turned in that moment in a way I could never foresee. But you knew it was going to happen, God. Because every time you send someone out into the world to reach that next chair, a miracle happens. And God, we want to see more of those miracles happening in our midst today and every day going forward. We want to be a 3-chair church, not just looking back at the past or looking at the present, but on to the future. God, inspire us and move our hearts, convict us that there's more to life than just building my own life. There's building their life for the next generation. So help us do that today and this week, Jesus. We pray this in your name. And everybody said, amen.
Can we just thank Pastor Scotty for that message today? That is the kind of church we want to be, and we're going to have an opportunity now to just respond to God. This song just helps us continue to further that commitment and just, again, recommit our life to serving him. So will you stand with us? Let's sing. Sing worthy. Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you. We sing holy. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. All right, let's hear it.
a secret to building a great life. You don't have to build your own. You get to build into somebody else's. And what you just saw is an eternal picture of that. So I hope as you go into your week this week, you will receive God's invitation to worry a little less about you and a little more about how you can bless the people around you, particularly those from that third chair coming up behind you. As you go out in the lobby today, there's going to be places where you can find out more, sign up, take a step. I just want to challenge you, just do it. Don't think so hard about it. Just do it. It will bless your socks off, I promise you. So I hope you'll take that advantage. I hope that you'll take advantage of that. We'll continue this conversation next week. But until then, have a great week. We love you. Have a great week this week. See you next time.
Well, Northshore, thank you so much for being a part of this morning with us. It's been an awesome time, and I am so excited for what God's going to do in the next generation, and we get to be a part of it together. So.
Yeah, and if you are moved and want to be a part of serving the next generation, I invite you to head over to our website, northshore.church. Under the Connect tab, you'll see all the different areas you can serve. You can jump on there and look at students, kids, any of the areas. We'd love to get in contact with you, answer any questions that you have about serving. But feel free to jump over, do that right now. We thank you guys so much for joining us here at Northshore Online, and we'll see you right back here, same time, same place, next week at Northshore Online. Have a great one.